The Bellingers were a prominent Black family in San Antonio. They were politically influential. They ran a number of very successful businesses, and they supported civic causes like education and health care for the Black community here.
Bellinger comes to San Antonio and establishes his first business in 1906. And he opened a saloon, and from that moment, he begins to invest and diversify. So it's never just a saloon, it becomes cafes, it becomes pool halls, it becomes real estate, barbershop, you name it. He was involved in taxi services, theaters. It was really a very economically diverse portfolio of businesses that Bellinger was involved in.
Bellinger became active in city politics and was able to organize a block of voters, coordinating with local ministers and other community leaders to deliver a block of votes for different political candidates. He was able to get city services and other improvements to the local community. That also included the Carver Library and Auditorium.
So Valmo Bellinger was Charles Bellinger's son. He founded the San Antonio Register newspaper, a newspaper that ran for about 50 years and catered to the African American community.
Our division of ScoutSA is responsible for finding, preserving, protecting, and celebrating San Antonio's historic places and traditions. Right now we have a big initiative going on, all focused on preserving Black and African American heritage within San Antonio. It's a wide-ranging program with many components. It's funded through a variety of grant sources. We have monies coming from the Texas Historical Commission, from the National Park Service, from the Texas Preservation Trust Fund and the Conservation Society, so you can tell that a lot of people are really invested in seeing it succeed. I love working on this project because I think it's such a privilege to be able to lift the voices of the community as they share their histories with us.
I am currently preparing the National Register nomination for the Charles Bellinger House and the Greater Corinth Baptist Church campus. So this work entails researching the history of the site and preparing a written justification as to the significance and the importance of this historic site. The site consists of a full block on South New Braunfels Avenue. It includes 4 main buildings, the church or the sanctuary for Greater Corinth Baptist Church, historic gym, which is currently used as a fellowship hall, Charles Bellinger's original residence, which is mission style, like Spanish Revival building built in the 1920s and was considered one of the magnificent mansions of San Antonio in that era. It was the first building on the site and for the longest time the only building on the block. And finally, the historic parsonage. So these 4 buildings were the original structures on the site, and they continue to be used for different functions. It is a recognition to the important work that important community members have done that haven't historically been recognized enough. It is not just a historical space, but it is a living historical space. So this is really for the community.
Within the ScoutSA team, I work specifically with our survey projects as well as our review of different civic projects that are happening within the city, looking at historic resources. So within the Bellinger project, what I've been looking at are the real estate that Charles Bellinger invested in. And towards the end of his life, he really focused on his real estate ventures. And they're very complex in nature, and by studying his real estate empire, we get to understand the network that he built within the community, that he provided a pathway to homeownership for many of the Black community. That meant not just building homes, but helping finance homes when people couldn't get a loan from the bank. And so it is a great way of starting to understand the impact that he had physically within the community. And so we're going to be sharing this information with the public through a story map. It is an interactive map that's going to allow people to map out the different properties that Bellinger was associated with. And you'll be able to see which of these properties are still around, which ones we've lost, and to understand the type of interaction that he was having with each of these properties. One of the things that I love about working on this project is that it allows us to take all of the research that we do and actually transform it into something tangible that people can see.
My role at ScoutSA is a historic preservation specialist, and I work with historic assessments, designation of historic landmarks, and with historic districts and other research to look into the history of San Antonio communities. My project right now is drafting text to put on a historic marker that's going to feature the Bellinger family. It'll tell us about them and their role in the San Antonio community and their importance to building up the east side of San Antonio. The marker will be placed on East Commerce Street, where Bellinger owned a number of businesses. I like working on this project because many people might know the name of Charles Bellinger, but maybe they don't fully appreciate the extent of his influence and importance to San Antonio and its development.